Out here.
Traffic will allow. Nowhere could you get that happy feeling when you were feeling an extra power. There's no people like show people, they smile when they are low. Even with a turkey that you know the you may be standing out in the cold. Still you wouldn't change it for a sack of gold. Let's go with the show.
We haven't had an opening like that. Thank you very much indeed. Going on with the show is what we're just about to do. But first, our thanks to Bristol St Mary's Players for starting our show with that great number from Irving Berlin's musical, Annie, Get Your Gun.
Leaving us breathless, just standing here watching those marathon runners from British Aerospace in Filton. We'll be able to have a word with you in just a minute, so gather up some puff.
And I hope there's no one else with us tonight who's on the run, because, as you'll see later, Clive brought his own lawman along, and we'll be taking a look at what's on offer on the alternative cabaret scene. And watch out, you gentlemen, Leap Year's Day is not far away.
Well, let's straight away meet some people who are doing a fair bit of leaping during the season, getting in training for a marathon. John Groves, you're a bit of the inspiration, really, aren't you, behind what British Aerospace are doing later this year? What happened?
Yes, I ran the London Marathon last year on behalf of St Peter's Hospice and raised £1,100. Thanks to the colleagues at British Aerospace and all the friends outside of it. We thought, and from that festered an ideal, why not go to Boeing country and run on behalf of British Aerospace or any other one that would like to join us and do something which is, I feel, on behalf of St Peter's or...
That's great, John. You're off to the New York Marathon in November. There's 50 of you from British Aerospace. You're looking for more runners, aren't you, and a bit of sponsorship.
That's right, yeah.
So if anybody can help, they want to run, let us know. We'll let you know. The very best of luck to you in New York. Thank you very much. A round of applause.
Top of the show, and I hope they're in good voice. Now, this is Leander. Welcome. She's part of the St Mary's Players. Leander, tell me something about yourselves.
Well, as you said, we're St Mary's Players, and we're in the middle of rehearsal for Annie, Get Your Gun, which the number we've just done is from, and we're performing that from the 12th to the 16th of April at the Redgrave Theatre in Clifton.
A massive plug. I hope lots of people come along to see it. But you plan well in advance, don't you? Because you already know what you're doing next year.
Yes, we've just announced our next show. We're doing half a sixpence.
You go for the old favourites, don't you?
Yes, yes. They seem to pull in the crowd, so we stick with them.
Now, how much work do you all put into this?
Well, there's quite a lot of work involved. Some people can just be rehearsing perhaps once a night, but very often we have people and they have many nights a week.
Well, I've just got one question to ask you, ladies. You're in need of something for the group, aren't you?
Yes!
Men! There you are. Men, you're in need. St Mary's Players, thank you very much.
Well, it's difficult to imagine that meek little Mavis Riley leaving her newsagent's counter in Coronation Street to become a Russian aristocrat on the stage. But in fact, our first guest is about to reveal that she's nothing like either the scatterbrained spinster on the television screen or the feudal character, Madame Renevsky, of Chekhov's play The Cherry Orchard. Please give a warm welcome to Bristol to Thelma Barlow. really, Thelma, it's welcome back to Bristol, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes.
When was you first here?
Well, I think I hadn't actually worked in Bristol for 20 years, but when we were here, we lived here for 8 years, so Bristol became very much a second home.
Well, I gather you picked up a little bit of the accent, didn't you?
Oh, just a little bit, my love, yeah.
Great. And what brings you here this time?
Well, it's to back to the Bristol Old Vic Theatre Royal, which is in King Street, of course. And one of my favourite playwrights. I mean, I just feel so fortunate to be asked back to do something like that. And it's The Cherry Orchard by Chekhov. So very exciting cast. And, oh, it's just going to be wonderful.
And when does it open?
It opens on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th.
Great. Now, I know that you're a very busy lady, but when you do relax, how do you like to do that?
Oh, several ways. Friends, great hobby, cooking, but gardening is probably obsessive now.
Now, you're into the organic gardening,
That's
aren't
right,
you?
yes,
And
I
what
am.
exactly is that?
Well, many people say many things about it, but really it's trying to garden with nature instead of against it, and trying not to put into the soil and onto the plants anything that could be remotely harmful.
So can you honestly say you never use a slug pellet or a bit of fertiliser from a bag?
I never, ever use anything that's going to be harmful to the garden or to the plants or the food I grow, yes.
So how do you actually feed your soil to begin with? What's the
Well, I have a
key?
compost heap, well, several compost heaps, and collect all my kitchen refuse that will be biodegradable, and all the cuttings and the lawn mowings and that sort of thing, and build up this wonderful compost heap. I mean, I really get quite excited about it and get my hands in it. And it's really marvellous for the soil.
Because really using a compost heap and maybe a bit that the horse has left behind is what Grandad used to do, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
That's feeding the soil. What do you do about pests? I mean, I always have terrible trouble with my roses getting rid of green fly.
Yes. Well, I've tried last year to putting chives all the way around a rose bed. And I didn't get any green fly on those at all, but where I had roses elsewhere in the garden, I got green fly. So that works.
And what about slugs?
Oh, slugs, everybody's pest, isn't it? There's the old thing of putting beer in a little container, container of beer, and they come along in the night and have a drink, and like their counterparts in the human race, they fall flat on their faces.
So they get drunk and drowned, basically.
But other little sort of nice little things to try. Hair clippings. You can put that, you know, if you have favourite plants, your delphiniums or something like that, sprinkle the hair clippings around, or little bits of sheep wool or cinders, anything that's going to be gritty or nasty for their little slinky, slimy bodies.
Because you've learnt a lot of this from our HTV series, All Muck and Magic, haven't you?
Yes, it's a wonderful series. You're going to do another one,
Yes,
I
we
believe,
are,
aren't you?
yes.
That's terrific.
And finally, what should we be doing at this time of year? Any tips for February?
February, well, don't walk on the soil. This is terribly important because it compacts it, especially when it gets very, very damp and heavy. So keep off there. Do all your planning. Cover up, if you can, mulch with a black plastic or something like that so that the weeds are not getting a good start, and sit back and wait for the spring to plant.
We'll sure do that. Thanks for the advice, Thelma.
You're very welcome, my dear.
And good luck with the Old Vic production.
Thanks very much.
Thelma Barlow!
She's not like Mavis a bit, is she? Thelma, thank you for the tips. Now, if I was to tell you that next week one of Bath's familiar street buskers was going to rehearsals for a West End musical, you might think I was telling tales. Well, I am. And it's quite a story, too. This man dresses in formal dance gear from the 30s, and when he's not appearing in other people's musicals, he's busy writing his own. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nigel Stevenson with the fancy footwear. Please welcome Spats.
In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now, heaven knows, anything goes. Good writers, too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words. Writing prose, anything goes. If driving past cars you like, or old bars you like, if violins you like, if old hymns you like, if Mae West you like, or me undressed you like, when nobody likes those. When every night the sets of smarties indulging in nudist parties in studios, anything goes. Cheap you get those peepers? Cheapers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd you get them lit up? Gosh, oh, get up, how'd they get that size? College-y, when you turn those peepers on, oh, is it me? Gotta get my cheaters on. Well, jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers, creepers, how they hypnotize. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. The sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, there's a smile on my face. I walk down the lane with a happy refrain. I'm singing, just singing in the rain. I'm singing, just singing in the rain.
Gene Kelly, eat your heart out. Gene Kelly, eat your heart out. Well, now I want you to meet a daring lady who seems to have had complete job satisfaction in her dangerous career. Well, you've all seen her in films on the big screen and on television too. Films like The Condor Man, Hitchcock's Frenzy, A Talent for Loving, When the Screaming Stops, The Salzburg Connection, Tom Jones' Supermans, you name it, she's been in it. Yet you probably won't recognise her. Well, welcome now to a stunt lady from Bradford-on-Avon, Bertie Gibb. Bertie, for 1 minute, I thought that you might actually tumble down those stairs for us. Oh, let me get your microphone in there. It's live television, these things happen. Bertie, you've fallen downstairs, you've fallen off horses. What other extraordinary things have you done?
I've been set on fire.
Have you?
Crashed cars, drowned a number of times.
And you're still laughing?
I'm still alive.
And you're still in one piece?
Yes, nothing broken.
What injuries have you had?
Only concussion, touch wood. While I've been working, I've broken other things when I haven't been working.
Well, we've actually got a clip of you in action. It's from Jewel in the Crown, a lovely film starring Dame Peggy Ashcroft. In fact, we don't see you immediately, we see Dame Peggy, but perhaps you could talk us through it, Bertie.
Yes, you shouldn't be able to see when we swap, actually. This is in the Welsh Hills, where they shot it from Mac India. And any moment, the wheel should start getting loose. This is wonderful. So wet, they had the hose pipe, the fire engines.
And where do you step in?
Any moment now. There you are. Only 2 meters back. And just near there was a 300-foot drop.
You're joking.
Closer than the edge of the platform.
So you had to be so precise where you fell?
Yes, I had to land exactly.
Do you get many times to have a practice?
No, we only did that once.
I bet you were very pleased.
But I was in control of the wheel.
Let's have another look at it, because these stunts do happen so quickly, don't they? Let's go now in slow motion. Let's just have a look at that all over again. Do you think about it much, Bertie, when you're doing these sort of things?
You do before. When you're actually doing it, I mean, your mind is so completely... I was so timing the wheel coming off, because if I'd mistimed it, it wouldn't have been in camera and we'd have had to go again.
Tell me, do you have a thirst for the dangerous, or is it just the money incentives that make you do something like that?
In those days, it wasn't the money. Nowadays, it might be.
Yes.
No, it's a fascination for seeing something in a script and working out how to get it on film, because there's usually a way.
Well, we've got something else now on film, which I think you've claimed has been one of the most dangerous things that you've done, that you had to wear special protective clothing for, I understand, and you can see why when it comes up now. Tell me about this.
Well, my handbag is supposed to get caught in the car door, and I get dragged through a multi-storey car park at about 40 miles an hour. Which is quite frightening, actually, because you go out at right angles to the car.
And the protective clothing you were wearing there?
Still toe caps on the shoes,
yes.
Otherwise my legs would have worn away. And I couldn't believe it, but they gave me a real mink coat to do it in.
How did the mink coat get on?
There wasn't a mark on it. If it had been mine, it would have been in rags.
Bertie, have you ever said no to anything?
Yes. They phoned me once, I can't remember the name of the commercial company, but they phoned up and they said that they had a wonderful cardboard manufacturer who made the most strong cardboard in the world, they reckon.
Mm-hmm.
Would I go over Niagara Falls in a boat made of it? They couldn't afford me.
Bertie, we're very glad you didn't say no to us tonight. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Bertie.
What a very plucky lady. Well, now on to a very grave subject indeed. Churchyards. Not the sort of place I'd like to walk in on a dark night, but Roger Royal seems to have taken pleasure in a wander through the headstones this week. He's braver than me, certainly, so please welcome Roger Royal.
Thanks very much indeed, Vivian. I have to confess that I was a little worried as to whether you would send me any photographs of churchyards or not. So last Saturday, I went on a little away day of my own. And the first thing I have to report that all the churchyards I saw were kept very well indeed. So well done, because so often they can be an eyesore rather than a thing of beauty. Now, my first visit was to Poulton, which I believe is just off the Wells Road. At least that's where I was heading for. And here I visited both Holy Trinity Church and the Baptist Church. Holy Trinity, both the old part of the cemetery and the new graves were kept in very good order. Not an easy thing to do when you're surrounded by a builder's yard. My only quibble would be that your compost heap could be a little bit more out of view, all right? And that would please Thelma as well. Behind the Baptist church, there was a lovely green space for fêtes, garden parties, and for Sunday school children to let off steam. Excellent. Midsummer Norton was my main port of call. Full marks to both the Salvation Army and the Methodists for providing very good parking space. Absolutely vital in a small, rather congested place like Midsummer Norton. But I wish that the residents of, and the visitors to that town, would not throw their litter into the Methodist shrubs. Makes it look very untidy and there's no need for it. And Methodists, I loved your rosemary plants. Well done. The parish church of St. John the Baptist is set on high ground, and its churchyard provides a marvellous oasis as all the traffic swirls round it. And the bell ringers were also hanging onto their ropes. I think they must have been ringing a peal because it sounded far too good to have just been a practice. At the Roman Catholic Church of St. Benedict at Stratton-on-the-Foss, there was a lovely hedge which screens the churchyard from the road. As in other places, the graves were well cared for, although there had been some which were dislodged because of subsidence, or is it subsidence? I never know. With these teeth, you could get everything wrong. Don't worry, but that can happen to everyone. But my favourite churchyard was Newton St. Low, just off the A4 from Bath to Bristol. Here's a real place of tranquility and calm. And from the churchyard, you get that most beautiful view. And I noticed that both the church wardens and the vicar commuted to it. And I really don't blame them. Beautiful place.
Words of praise from Roger there. Now, many a Wiltshire pinter person would tell you, I'm sure, that the fastest milk cart in the West used to be driven by Andy when he delivered milk in Melksham. Andy hit the headlines when he announced he serenaded his lovely ladies on his rounds. But so good was he decided to desert the dairy, to team up with his mate Colin and to swap pints for pop. This is the single they have just released called Crying in the Rain, which happens to be the number they're about to perform. Ladies and gentlemen, an act that could be from another planet because they're called Gift of Alien.
I'll never let you see the way my broken heart is hurting me. I've got my pride and I know how to hide all my sorrows and pain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll wait for cloudy skies. You won't know the rain from the tears. together. I look for stormy weather to hide these tears I hope you'll never see. Someday when my crying's done, I'm gonna wear a smile and walk in the sun. I may be a fool, but till then, darling, you'll never see me complain. I'll do my crying in the rain. Raindrops falling from heaven could never wash away my misery. But since we're not together, I look for stormy weather to hide these tears I hope you'll never see. Someday when my crying's done, I'm gonna wear a smile and walk in the sun. I may be a fool, but till then, darling, you'll never see me complain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain. I'll do my crying in the rain.
There's a revolutionary sweetener that tastes as good as sugar. Canderel Spoonful. It contains NutraSweet, so it has no bitter aftertaste. Just like sugar. And because it's granular, you sprinkle it in just the same quantity as sugar. Canderel Spoonful. The revolutionary sweetener that tastes as good as sugar.
Each and every day, TSB grants over £1 million in personal loans to its customers, swelling their bank accounts by just the right amount to help them pay for a new car, a new kitchen, or whatever they've set their hearts on. Send for details of the lower rate for larger personal loans from TSB, the bank that likes to say yes.
Haze brings the outside in.
From that hit musical La Cage aux Folles. Well, I don't know why the boys and girls of the Avon District Scouts are here, so let's ask somebody who looks like he knows. What's going on, Graham Franklin?
Well, we have been rehearsing for the last 5 months for the gang show, which is on at the Hippodrome from the 5th of April till the 12th.
5th to the 12th of April, I hope you all heard that, right. Good. And it's a group of scouts. Now, some of you are Venture Scouts and some of you are ordinary Scouts.
Well,
what's the difference?
The Venture Scouts are a couple of years younger than I am. In fact, I have one sitting,
I
have one sitting on my left here now.
What's your name?
Debbie.
And what is a Venture Scout, Debbie?
Well, we're from the age of 15 to 20. We do various activities like canoeing and hiking and abseiling and, of course, being the gang show.
And you enjoy it?
Yes.
Now, is this a change? Didn't the gang show used to be just the Boy Scouts?
Well, not since I've been producing it. We've always had girls in it. I mean, why not? We might have the ladies around, haven't we?
Yeah.
To brighten the place up. And,
Well, I enjoyed that so much. Oh, by the way, I like your matching woggles and name tags. I enjoyed that so much. Will you do just a little bit more for us? Come on, get up and sing.
The gang shows April the 5th at the Hippodrome. Now, the best of times are now, or is now. It certainly is for a lady who found the perfect answer to filling her retirement time without it costing a penny. She just called on her memories of life growing up in the Bristol of the 30s to write a book, and here it is. Joyce Story was widowed in 1979, and after 2 years on her own, decided to advertise for interesting people who'd like to have chats by post. Well, her letters grew into lengthy accounts of her childhood, and when she finally joined a writers' group, she decided to put it all down, and hence the book. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a very grand lady, Joyce Story. Joyce, welcome. This took you quite a while, didn't it? About a year to do. Did you do all the writing in longhand?
No, I was a one-finger wallow. I used a typewriter with one finger.
Just one finger? I can only use two, Joyce, and I've been doing it for 20 years. Look, it's a super book, and it does recall the period, the 1930s in Kingswood. How well do you remember what the streets of Kingswood were like in those days? I'm asking you because we've got some pictures from that period of Kingswood. So what do you remember of that time?
Oh, well, Kingswood was a village then. The population explosion had not as yet turned it into a town. That wasn't until the Second World War. And I remember vast open spaces and fields that you could run through. And there were even orchids in Hanham Woods. Wow. I also remember we were poverty. It was full of poverty. People were very poor. The paint peeling off the windowsills because nobody ever painted their windowsills. They didn't have the money to paint them.
We got some pictures of a Whitsun procession and children walking along the road. You mentioned this in the book, don't you? That was quite a big occasion for a young girl.
Oh, yes. All the world and his wife went up to the Kingswood processions. And we all had new dresses and new straw hats. And if it did rain, the rain would make the straw hats the crown of the hats come up like a beehive. And so we used to take our hats off and
absolutely ruin a girl's moment. Yes. Now I know the first job you had in leaving school was to go in sort of house cleaning, and you only got what, £5 a week then, didn't you?
Yeah, 5 shillings a week. I was. Well, skivvying, really. That's what they called it, skivvying.
I bet it was, too, for that sort of money. You got a job in Langridge's corset factory and worked as a packer.
That's right, yes.
And I think our picture here shows some of the girls at their machines. It looks like hard work, was it?
Well, it was piecework, and you hardly ever saw them look up. And it was hard work. We started work early in the morning, about 8 o'clock, and went on until 6. And I started on 6 and 7 pence a week, which would be about 30 pence in today's money.
Well, you were telling me they're still there, but they're called fantasy foundations these days, and the money's gone up a bit.
Oh, yeah.
A bit. Yeah. No, it has a lot. Sorry, fantasy. Joyce, our final picture shows a charabanc outing from Langridge's. Did you go on any of these?
No, I didn't go on the outings. I think that was before my time.
That was, they stopped them when you came to work. Yeah. They wanted the girls to work instead of enjoying themselves, obviously. Now, we've mentioned this cooperative, Bristol Broadsides, that you got involved in, and I know that you've been telling me already that you are living proof that anybody can have a go at writing, and a man who's going to agree with you as someone who helps run Bristol Broadsides, a cooperative publishing company encouraging ordinary people to venture into print. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Smith. I don't need to introduce you because you know each other. I was expecting you to come from there, Phil, and you came from there, but never mind. So what's the cooperative doing?
Well, Richard, I'll tell you what we do. If you go into a library and you go over to the part of that library where they put the biographies, and you'll find a lot of biographies there of the Chancellor of Ruritania or whatever, or generals of so-and-so or whatever. And we're the people, really, who put the biographies there of the firemen, the nurses, the people who sweep up after the processions have gone. That's our job.
You're quite anxious to hear from people like Joyce.
Very anxious indeed. Joyce's book is part of a series of novels and autobiographies that we're bringing out. And if anybody's watching this programme and they feel that they've got a story to tell and they've written that story, then send it to us or send it to you and you can pass it on to us.
Phil, certainly if people write in, I'll pass all the information on to you. Right. Joyce, you're starting to write another book.
Yes, that's the second part, my marriage. That would be my marriage in the war years. Yes, covering the war years.
So we could say that's volume 2. I don't want to embarrass you, but I know you've got poor eyesight, and this is quite a job for you to do. You've just learnt to touch type, haven't you?
Yes, they sent me to the blind school, and I learnt to touch type.
Well, I think that's absolutely marvellous. I want to thank you both, but just quickly mention another book, Footprints in Memory Lane, that's been brought out about the history of the streets of Barton Hill, and that's the University Settlement Group. I promised them I'd give it a mention. Phil, all I can say is I'm pleased to hear so many people are going into print, and here's hoping many more join Joyce. Isn't she a smashing lady? Thank you both very much indeed.
Well, apart from the belief that a policeman's lot is not a happy one, what do all the world's coppers have in common? Well, they wear uniforms, don't they? And here with the evidence is Clive Gunnell.
Well, my collection this week took me to that delightful Cotswold village of Winchcombe. Here I made for the old town hall with the stocks outside the door. I went through those doors and up the stairs and turned left at the top into a very large room which contained the most incredible collection of police uniforms and artifacts. They're all collected by one man, Major Sims. Major Sims, let me first get this name right. You're not a military major at all, that is your name.
That is my Christian name, yes.
And you've lived with it.
I've lived with it for years.
Now, you were in the police force?
I was, yes. I was a detective inspector in London.
And that's when you started your collection?
No, actually, I started when I was in North Yorkshire. I went to Leicester in 1953 and exchanged my helmet plate for a Leicester City helmet plate, and it grew from there.
And it's true to say that your collection dates back to the very first policeman in this country.
Indeed, the very first recognised policeman, the Bow Street Runners.
Which that has something to do with.
This is a tipstave. I carried a warrant card with a photograph on it. Bow Street Runners carried this, and their warrant office is inside.
You unscrew the top,
Unscrew the top, yes, and that was their warrant of office.
They would have to show that. And,
yes, well, tap somebody on the shoulder. This is where the expression "I'll crown you" comes from.
And that's what it is?
That's what it is.
That was the first real uniform, wasn't it, for the peelers?
Yes. Peel designed this because he wanted a non-military uniform, and this was ideal. Top hat, it didn't give the evidence of being a military uniform. Ideal.
And naval trousers?
Yes, they purchased these from the dockyards at Chatham at 2 shillings a pair.
And behind you, the first WPC?
Yes, 1918, the Metropolitan Police WPC.
That's rather lovely. Those boots, the girls have been admiring those.
Well, there are 132 lace holes to fasten every morning on those.
I think they've just stopped admiring them.
They probably have.
And there's a musical comedy uniform.
What, the Gilbert and Sullivan
one?
one?
Isn't it lovely, yeah.
Actually, this came about, they borrowed my uniforms for films, many films, and we were doing a racing film in Monaco, and I met Prince Rainier there whilst he was watching. And he said, would I like one of the Palace Police? I said yes, so at the end of filming, he presented me that.
And do they wear that in the summer?
They actually wear that in summer and winter.
God, they must be roasting.
You can always tell when it's going to rain because the feathers always rise, so it's not going to rain tonight.
Oh, splendid. And that Russian uniform, isn't it? That has a story as well.
I wrote the history of the Russian police, sent it off to Moscow, got an invitation out there after 6 months, actually went there and got the uniform from them. The book I published, they now publish and give to their cadets an entry.
And do you lend all your uniforms to film companies?
No, very, very few and far between nowadays because they're getting badly damaged, and so I try to keep them. This is why I've now got a museum.
How many do you have altogether?
700, but in the collection there's over 42,000 items in the collection itself.
No, there's only a very small part of this in Winchcombe.
Oh, tiny part, yes.
You would like the whole exhibition?
I would like a huge
space,
75,000 square feet, something like that. Would be ideal.
Anywhere at all if somebody had it?
Anywhere at all, if somebody's listening and they've got a place like this, I'll have it.
When does the Winchcombe Museum open for the season again?
March the 31st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily, except Sundays.
And do you charge?
30p for adults, 20p for children and old age pensioners.
And I happen to know that money comes in handy because all of those uniforms have got to go away now, haven't they, to be
They've got
cleaned?
to be cleaned at £15 each.
Do you ever regret starting your collection and leaving the force?
Not really. My wife hates the collection. It's taken my life over, she said, but I'm happy with it. At least I'm carrying on force tradition. I'm quite happy.
Well, it's a splendid collection. Thank you very much indeed, Major.
My pleasure.
Now, what does cabaret mean to you? Perhaps in films it's Berlin, a table for two, a bottle of champagne and an entertainer. Well, the Practical Cabaret Company have been enormously successful in putting Bristol on the alternative cabaret map in the last year with comedians and musicians from the West Country and further afield. This Sunday, they're helping Bristol's Theatre Royal, that's Britain's oldest working playhouse, to recreate some of the atmosphere of the music hall days with their 80s version of alternative comedy. Please meet someone who'll be drawing the crowds on Sunday. He's a son of a Swindon policeman, the Joan Collins Fan Club.
Thank you, punters. Thank you for your applause. There's nothing I like more than a warm hand upon my entrance. I'm rather fond of uniforms myself. One uniform I remember particularly well was my school uniform, and it was when I was at school that this rather vulgar ring was given to me by someone called Jimmy. Jimmy was without doubt, really, the leader of the pack. And this, then, is the story of the leader of the pack. I thank you.
Is he really going out with him? Julian, is that Jimmy's ring you're wearing?
No, it's not. It's my ring now.
Gee, it must be great riding with him. Is he picking you up after school today?
No, I don't go to school anymore, Russell. I'm 28 now.
Where'd you meet him?
I met him at the candy store. He turned around and smiled at me. You get the picture?
Yes, we see.
That's when I fell for the leader of the pack. My folks were always putting him down.
Down, down.
They were. They told me he came from the wrong side of town.
What do you mean when you say that he came from the wrong side of town?
I mean that they told me that he was bad. But I knew that he was just sad. And that's why I fell for the leader of the pack.
Vroom, vroom.
One day my dad said, find somebody new.
New.
That's what he said. I had to tell my Jimmy that we were through.
What do you mean when you said you better go find somebody new?
Well, he stood there and he asked me why. But all I could do was cry. But I'll never forget him, the leader of the pack.
Vroom, vroom.
He looked rather sad as he stood there on that rainy, rainy night. And as he drove away, the tears were beginning to show in his eye. I begged him to drive carefully, but whether or not he heard me, I don't think I'll ever know. Watch out for that lorry, Jimmy. Well, I felt so helpless. What could I do?
Do.
Remembering all the things we'd been through.
After all the things we'd been through.
At school they all stop and stare. Probably because I'm far too old to be there. But I'll never forget you,
the leader of the pack.
You see what I'm saying here? You see what I mean? He used to be the leader of the pack, but now he's gone. Catch my drift.
Now he's
he
gone.
Used to be the leader of the pack, but now he's gone. He's no more the leader of the pack, because now he's gone. It's no longer true to say he is the leader of the pack, because now he's gone. In fact, he is dead. dead. He was killed in a motorway accident with the lorry, as I just explained. And I do blame the demon drink on this particular occasion. I saw Jimmy with a glass of sherry in his hand not half an hour before that fatal encounter with the lorry. So he was the leader of the pack, but now he's gone. I'm the leader of the pack now. I'll be gone myself in a minute. I don't have a motorbike, actually, but I have got a Sierra Estate, which is quite nippy. I thank you. But now he's gone. Horribly with the sofa, you
I
do
know.
realise.
Speak to the designer.
Oh, look, I'm not alone.
Oh, Fanny, darling.
Fanny, come here for some heavy
This is Fanny the
petting.
Wonder Dog, for those of you who have yet to be introduced. Now, you do a double act together, don't you?
Yes,
in
except
your
she's a
full cabaret.
She's a bit of an anarchist. She's just wandering about.
Now-
If you feel something furry rubbing between your legs, punters, don't be alarmed.
No, it's just Fanny the Wonder Dog. Now,
Unless, of course, it's James Anderton.
You brought Fanny from the streets of London and Battersea Dogs Home to stardom, didn't you?
I did, single-handed, I did it, yes.
Now, why did you choose the name the Joan Collins Fan Club? I mean, it is a collective phrase, isn't it? You're an individual.
I
Very
am
much
an
an
individual,
individual,
yes.
yes. Why did you
There's
choose that name?
No need to take a vote on that. I think I'm an individual. I chose that name because I was sitting in the bath one night and I had the idea. It came into my head from wherever ideas come from.
Right.
And there it was.
And there it stayed. Now, I love your frock. That's gorgeous.
It is good. This is in the shape of a screw. I don't know
Yes.
if you can see this.
Obviously, you have a mechanical bent. Now, can you tell me...
But
Can you tell me how long it takes to get that? I mean, I'm really
I've
jealous
got
of
on
your
the
makeup.
turn now, I'm afraid.
Yes.
Who says I'm not a good screw? That's what I wanted to say.
I think it's wonderful. I mean, if only that I could get them in that colour. Now, seriously,
You
how
could.
long does it take you to do that makeup? Because I'm very envious of that.
It takes me about 20 minutes. It might take you a bit longer. but,
Probably a lot longer, because I'm not as adept as you.
something to do with it, yeah.
Now, is this your first time in Bristol?
It's not my first time in Bristol, no. I've been before to the Harper's Bazaar, some seedy club somewhere. But I'm coming back on Sunday and I'm doing the Old Vic.
And it's a sellout, isn't it, already?
Already, as we speak, it's selling out. Yeah.
Now, I'm very anxious.
Oh,
I
Fanny,
heard,
look at
when you
Fanny's doing.
appeared on Friday Night Live, I heard a rumour that you and Fanny were splitting up. Is this true, or is it just a figment of the press's imagination?
It's a fig leaf of the media imagination,
Yes.
I think you'll find. Fanny and I are practically joined at the hip. Come here. Come on. Oh, now, that's a microphone there. It's Fanny's best side here.
Very much so. OK, finally, when are you going to have your own TV special? That's what we want to know.
No, there'll be an extra charge for touching me, you know.
When are you having your own TV special? That's what we all want to know.
I've got something in my pipeline, if you'll pardon the expression.
Right.
Well, actually, we've all got something in our pipeline. You've got something coming up on Sunday. Yes, we have. Spats, you're starting work on Monday on a new musical, aren't you?
I
Tell
am.
me about that.
It's called Winnie.
Mhm.
It's starting at the Royal Opera House in Manchester
Yes.
and then going straight into the Victoria Palace in London.
So from busking in Bath, things are really happening for you.
Yes, I mean, busking in Bath, I don't like to class myself as a busker. I'm an actor and a
Mhm.
singer. And in fact, it's ironic that you had Phil Smith on the show because I worked with him on a show which is all about entertainers, and we used a lot of that 1930s music, and that's where I got the whole idea. About 4 months later, when I was out of work, I thought, what can I do apart from clean cars?
Mhm.
Thought, no, I don't want to do that, and I brought that onto the street.
So you took a very positive attitude to further your career then?
Right, I mean, the idea of a resting actor, it's far harder work when you're resting than when
I'm
you're
sure
in
a
a show.
lot of actors will agree with you. And success, too, for our two other guests on the end there. There's Colin and there's Andy of Gift of Alien. Which one is the singing milkman?
I'm afraid to say that was me.
Oh, I used to be a milkman. Can I get this in?
Oh, no.
I did used to be a milkman, and I
You would
never
have
left
to
an
be.
empty behind.
I bet the Danes loved you, didn't they? You were very
Naughty,
proficient.
naughty. Colin and Andy, let me just say this to you. Did it take a lot of bottle to give up the round and go singing?
It certainly did after getting the sign, but I must say that all that rubbish you read in the press is 90% rubbish, you know? I didn't say it, they just make it up.
Oh, well, he's put the record straight now about what was ever in the press about him.
Yeah, I am really trying to make a clean breast of it, I'll tell you that. I really am.
We wish you luck. Good luck with the new single. Good luck to you, Spats, because you've got the musical on Monday and the musical that you're writing yourself.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to sing for us a little later on. And what can I say about you?
I don't know, but you've got 30 seconds to say it.
Can't you sum yourself up in 30 seconds?
Do you think Bristol is ready for you? That's what I want to know.
Yes, I think so.
What about Fanny? This is the real thing. I mean...
This is the real thing. What about Fanny?
Yes. What about...
Could
Do
you
you think Bristol is ready for your dog?
Is Bristol ready for my dog? Oh, now he's waving at us now. Then
Right.
we really have got to
Thank
go.
goodness this is where we have to stop the interview.
We
Thank you
do.
to all our guests for entertaining us.
Why do I have to follow that? Those of you looking at home may now be thinking our acts tonight are just a little different. You're right. But there again, those of you who have been loyal fans of this series, now in its 5th or maybe it's the 6th week, will know we have our own little oddity down at the typewriter. Tonight, modelling a little Berlin number, complete with visor, as you can see. Yes, it's Morris, our own little collector's item. A round of applause for this miraculous man. His little fingers, even now, are typing the information you will not be able to get through this weekend without. Let's start with food prices. At the greengrocer's, spuds are 12 pence a pound and Cornish cauliflowers are 40 pence. Some of them are 50 pence. Oh, there's a good supply of leeks around this weekend, if you're Welsh. Happy St. David's Day. At the butcher's, it's a very good weekend for buying pork. Most of it is dead. And finally, the weather forecast. Cloudy but dry tomorrow, with some sunshine on Sunday for Roger, and some for us coming back to work on Monday. That's about it. It's going to stay cold, by the way, but Bristol's heading for the record books with the sunniest February for 50 years. Enough. We're going to hand over to Roger Royal now for his diary date. Roger.
Richard, thanks very much indeed. Well, this is the week with the special extra day. So those of you who are having a birthday on Monday, very many happy returns. It's amazing how you can keep your age down, isn't it? Lovely. Have a happy day. Also, it's a day of opportunities for ladies, because it's the day when men who are young, who are handsome, who are rich, who are just like me, become an endangered species. Now, I've told Clive to stay indoors the whole time, but days of opportunity are very important. There's a marvellous biblical story about a lady who had hemorrhages for 12 years, and she knew that if she just had the opportunity to only touch the hem of Jesus' robe, she would be all right. So one particular day, she'd heard that Jesus was in the town, so she made her way through the crowds so that she could find him, and she just touched those robes, seizing the opportunity, and she was healed. If we miss opportunities, then we miss part of our lives. We misuse our lives. A misused life is not what God wants. So listen, seize those opportunities. And let me just take a little opportunity to those of you across the Severn Bridge, a very happy St. David's Day.
I'd like to wish all the Welsh folk on the other side of the channel a very happy St. David's Day. I hope I'm going to be having some Welsh tea cakes, it says up on there, but I don't know whether I do, really.
That daffodil's getting a bit droopy, isn't it?
I'll hold it up like
It's
that.
the heat in here. Now, if you thought our acts tonight were different, wait till you hear what Mrs. Barrett and her friend from Southmead in Bristol want to do. They've written in saying, we're looking for 2 fruit and veg costumes to surprise their boss on his last day. You see, he sold his greengrocer's business after 21 years. Well, if you can help, give us a ring early on Monday morning, because we're looking for some salad dressing.
Oh.
Please yourselves.
Well, we do like a little bit of audience reaction, and a letter has flooded in. It's actually addressed to you, Richard, but that's tough. I'm reading it. It says, it's from, by the way, Gwen Dath, who lives, yes, in Devizes. Thank you for writing. You say lovely things about the show. You thought it was great, and it's like having a party in your front room. Well, I don't know what sort of parties you have in your front room, but really, to get to the point, you want to know about the singer who we had last week who sang The Boy from Nowhere. Now, what was his name, Richard? Do you remember?
He came from the Forest of Dean.
That was it. The man from the Forest of
he
Dean.
had
He's
a
Paul
lovely
Fredericks.
voice.
I
He
know
did.
he's playing. And what you want to know is, has he made any records? Yes, he made a lot in the 60s, but he's hoping to sign a deal very shortly, and we'll keep you in touch. Perhaps you'd like to start his new fan club. Thank you for writing.
Good for you.
See you next week.
And that brings us to the end of another Weekend Starts Here. We sincerely hope that you have a good weekend. Well, you heard from him earlier. He sang for us. He's talked to us. Now you're going to hear a bit more of his singing. Let's welcome back Spats. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
You ought to be in pictures. You're wonderful to see. You ought to be in pictures. Oh, what a hit you would be. Your voice would thrill a nation. Your face would be adored. You'd make a great sensation with wealth and fame, your reward. And if you should kiss the way we kiss when we are all alone, you'd make every girl and man a fan worshiping at your throne. You ought to shine out brightly like Jupiter and Mars. You ought to be in pictures, my star of stars. And if you should kiss the way we kiss when we are all alone, you'd make every girl and man a fan worshiping at your throne. You ought to shine out brightly like Jupiter and Mars.